So this next comment comes from Coffeeman911. He says, you do realize that most men don't even get a match. Yeah, you need to try to get rejected a lot, build the dating skill too, but you are on a different level than most. They don't have a 1% success ratio. They have a none. They do need to improve first to even be considered as men. You are talking about already desirable men, not the bottom ones. And they are the majority. Sure, homeless men can find a girlfriend, but among the homeless population, how many are in a relationship? A tiny minority, I'd guess, and they would be the best among the homeless. Okay, so that's an interesting comment. He's basically saying that it's harder to get a girlfriend for the average person and that I have it easy. And then he goes on to say that you need to be among like the top of individuals to even be considered a man. There's a lot to unpack there, but Coffeeman911, the only thing you need to be considered a man is a penis. Okay, you need to, whatever ideas you have about being a man, reassess them, because the only thing you need to bring to the table is dick, and I promise you that is more than enough to get a woman to sleep with you, to be invested in you, to be interested with you. Okay, you don't need to meet any more criteria. You don't need to jump through any extra hoops. Okay, and then you go on to say most men have a 0% success ratio, and it's impossible for them to build the dating skill. And that's kind of how it works, right? You're going to keep striking out until you hit your first, until you can make your first base, right? And eventually you can hit 2 bases and 3 bases, and before you know it, you're hitting home runs, okay? But yeah, you're going to get a 0% success ratio until you succeed once. And then your ratio is going to jump up by over like 1,000,000% because, 0 to anything is a massive improvement. Okay. But yeah, once you figure it out once, you can just do the same thing again. All right. And you're going to find that once you figure out what works one time, generally speaking, for women who are of a similar kind of capacity, like they look similar, they come from a similar background, they have similar ideas, that same behavior or that same approach is going to work on them as well. Okay. What works on a 4 might not work on a 6. What works on a 6 probably isn't going to work on a 10. Right. But if you figure out how to get a 4 into bed, well, then you know how to sleep with a 4. If you figure out how to get a 6 into bed, well, then you know how to sleep with the 6. Right. The point being, you need to continue doing this and getting reps and matching with women and texting them and whatever it may be, so that you can get more experience. Almost like you're training an AI, okay? You need more data to get accurate responses. If you can't even get a match on a dating app, well, then you need better pictures and you need better prompts, okay? That's just what it is. And that means if you look like shit, well, then maybe get a little bit more in shape. But more importantly, just get some better pictures, put on better clothing, hire a photographer, use better lighting. Right? It's really that simple. Once you're able to get matches, you're going to flunk out a bunch. All right. The first 100 conversations you have, you're probably not going to get too far. All right. Expect it to take 100, 200, maybe even 300 conversations before you start to feel comfortable and confident getting to the date. And then once you can get to the date, it's going to be probably another 50 or 100 dates before you know how to get them to your house, or at least to set up a second date. All right. But this idea that you need to improve first in order to be considered a man isn't true. You're right. You already meet the basic criteria that women are looking for. Right. And the idea that even of the homeless population, right, the best of the best are the people who are pulling women. Right, you automatically outrank all of the homeless population just by having a phone or a device to watch this content on and being able to leave a comment. Okay, so if even the best of the best, and this is a hypothetical, if you're correct, even if the best of the homeless are able to get a girlfriend, then surely you should be able to do it as well. because you have more resources, you have more going for you, right? And none of that actually matters, right? Your resources, your status, none of that is necessarily relative to your ability to date and influence a woman. That stuff definitely helps, but it is not a direct correlation, or I should say, it is not the direct like causation for you to be able to do that. All right. You can be the hopeless musician sleeping in your mother's basement, and you can have a girlfriend and be cheating on her. And we've all heard that story before, right? We've even seen the homeless man who has nothing going for him. Again, all you need to bring to the table is dick, right? That's the basic minimum criteria. And really what you need to develop is a strong frame. All right. Developing a strong frame is pretty much changing your narrative about yourself and the world that you live in. All right. Adopting new ideas that help you get the things that you want. For example, one idea that you could adopt, Coffee Man 911, is the idea that you don't need to be hyper successful to be considered a man, right? You can adopt the idea that you are male by birth. And that is going to get rid of a lot of your insecurities that you are displaying and projecting inside of this comment, right? But changing certain ideas about who you are or even how the world works is going to change your behavior. And once you change your behavior, you are going to get different results, right? And at the end of the day, you're just collecting data. You're seeing what works, and you're not having attachment to any one method. You're not having attachment to any one idea, right? The idea that you need to be hyper masculine, or that you need to make a bunch of money, or that women are only looking for this or that. You want to see if that's true or not, right? And you want to look at other examples. Elon Musk, for example, he's autistic and he's able to get a girlfriend. So maybe mental illness, like the same thing the homeless man probably has, maybe that's not even that important when it comes to getting a girlfriend. All right. Again, at the end of the day, you need more data, and you get that through reps, and you have to change what you're doing until something works. All right. That's all that I have for you guys. If you got something good out of this, leave a comment. I might respond to it. Check the description down below. You're going to find an online community. Inside of there, you're going to be able to find a 30-day challenge to land your first date. It's completely free. There's other single men in there who are working on developing frame and developing their dating skills. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, check it out. The description is down below. Besides that, like, subscribe, and share this with a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next one.